Hello, I'm BXToyCat and welcome back to another top 5 video. Today I have the top 5 unique ways to do parkour in Minecraft for Xbox and Minecraft for PlayStation. And the reason I'm making this video is that everyone who builds any map of any variety, whether it be a solo build, whether it be a multiplayer server, or whether it be some form of like hide and seek, Hunger Games, adventure map, you always need parkour for some reason, whether it be to entertain people, make it challenging, or kind of limit people's access to a place. Parkour always comes up and it's always such a satisfying thing when it's done correctly, but it can be tempting just to make parkour that's, just blocks and blocks and blocks like this, but in reality that doesn't make such a satisfying parkour, and it can be really easy. So today I'm going to be suggesting 5 alternate methods of doing parkour that isn't just blocks and blocks and blocks, and it should hopefully, change the way you build maps and hopefully make more entertaining ones in general. So please do like the video if you do like it. It helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like it. And let's get straight into this one by quickly explaining why it is that parkour is so boring in this form. And it's the basic reason that when you sprint jump, you can make any 3 block gap. 4 blocks can be a challenge. It's only possible if you get the exact right angling on the edge of the block, and then 5 blocks is just impossible. It really is as simple as that, and you can combine angles in there, make it so you have to do certain different angles to get to a certain block, but it never really, boils down past the fact that 4 blocks is possible, 3 blocks is really possible, and 5 blocks isn't. It just, it either jumps possible or it's annoyingly, difficult. It really boils down to that, and it never really makes a fun parkour if it's just blocks and blocks like that. So, let's quickly explain the first one, which will kind of break this mold quite a bit, and that is using glass panes. So if you use glass panes for parkour, then it's not all about the 4 block rule, because instead of just having to know, can I make the jump or not, it's about compensating in midair to make the jump. And also in this case, you can see you can use glass panes and to some extent iron bars to make kind of a mazy feel like this. So this is a very small scale example, but you can see, you can use it to make some really confusing structures like this, and that's pretty cool. So, when you're trying to jump to each of these glass panes, because it is so thin, it's literally 2 pixels thick as opposed to 16 like a regular block, it means that, instead of being able to just, sprint to the block and not have to worry about it, you have to compensate in midair so you land exactly on it. And as you can see, I did it wrong right there. But yeah, it's a really challenging feel, and if you, if you do this for long enough and you make it with a low ceiling, you can make some really, really challenging parkour. Why is there an upside-down cat sprinting in circles over there? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, glass panes and fence bars make a really cool, iron bars, I guess they'd be cool, make some really cool, challenging parkour. And you can even make it so it's just, like a long straight line that jitters every now and then. It can still be a pretty fun thing. Anyway, let's move on to the next type of parkour, which will be fence parkour. So this is probably one of my favorite types because of just how cool you can make it look, especially if you have loads of fences like this, where you've got to make people work out how high they need to be, to get to the next fence. And you can use this for a few cool reasons, mainly because you can't jump onto a regular fence from down here, so if you fall, you're all the way back to the start. Even if there are some 1 tall fences, they're actually 1.5 blocks tall, which means that, it's always about staying up. There's never blocks you, even though it looks like you're right next to the ground, in reality you're not, and it means that you can make a real challenge of, like, you've got, it's a maze, but you can't really see the maze till you really think about it. So yeah, you can use this for some pretty cool things. And also, if you combine it with cobblestone walls, you can do cool things involving that and fences together. So you can make it so you jump on top of the... Oh, wait, let's just jump on the fence here. So you can jump on top of the cobblestone wall here, and then that allows you to go onto the fence, which allows you to get onto that cobblestone wall, if I can do the sprint jump right, which gets me on this fence, which gets me on this fence if I do it right, which gets me on here. So you can see, even though it looks like it's just a bunch of protruding sticks on the ground, it really can make some complex parkour, and because of how small the blocks are, there is no run-up. Like, you can't even just go diagonal, horizontal like you can with the panes. It's all just about getting that perfectly timed jump with the tiniest amount of error, and I think that's pretty cool and pretty fun. So cobblestone walls and fences make for some really fun parkour, and I've personally had some really cool experiences with them. So we fell down again, so let's just embarrassingly move on to number 3. And this is all about using the same method of parkour, but making it more interesting, because as you can see here, blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks, they look kind of dull and boring, but if they're necessary for some reason, you can make it more interesting. And the big way is to change up the way you do parkour, for instance, ender pearl parkour. So this means it's all about... Okay, as you can see, I missed the block pretty badly there. It's all about actually trying to get onto the block, which involves aiming. It changes the skills needed for parkour, and it means that if you need to get somewhere really difficult, and you've got loads of parkour masters in your world, you can make it so they have to use these ender pearls, and it makes a real challenge. So let's see if we can make this last block. Let's jump, and oh no, we didn't do it. But yeah, you can see, it's a really challenging skill to master. You need to get angling just right, and it's also a good way to learn how to position to throw, potions, to throw all that sort of stuff, so that they hit a very specific place. I think it's a pretty cool skill to learn. And if you want to make a real challenge, it's a particularly cool one. Particularly if you want, if you need people to get their own ender pearls, it makes it this next level of challenging. And if you want to make really, really challenging parkours, then that's probably the best way to do it. But it can be very frustrating too. So if frustrating is not your goal, if you don't want to go for the most frustrating thing in the world, then half slabs are a cool alternative to the regular parkour that have the cool, that have two cool benefits mainly. First of all, they look really cool. If you look at half slabs here, you know, they look a lot cooler on the blocks, and it looks like they're actual platforms, and it's like a, you know, like a platformer game of some form. It's pretty cool in that regard. And second of all, if you place blocks underneath the half slabs, then basically the half slabs will absorb their effect. So if you've got ice under there, for some reason, I don't understand the real world logic of this at all, you actually slip on the ice even though there's half slabs here, and since they can't see the ice, they'll be really confused. It throws people off, it makes it a little bit more challenging, and they have to adjust to the circumstances, maybe find the block that's not under ice, like, go over here, for instance. But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing like that. And the other thing you can do with slabs that's pretty cool is you can make it a real challenge to work out whether you can make it to a block or not. So, for instance, you might think I can make it to that block pretty easily, but in fact, it's actually too high up. I'd have to go to another block. And it's a pretty cool way of making, you know, like a challenge inside a challenge. It's not just... Because, you know, the thing about 2 blocks is it's like 1 block up, oh, I can make that jump. 2 blocks up, oh, I can't. But this way, you know, you can go 1.5 blocks, and it means you have to think about it for a second, and it means, you know, there's more thought in parkour, and that's always a good thing. So, yeah, make sure... half slabs are a pretty cool way to make more of a platformy theme thing, and if you're doing a parkour map in particular, then I think half slabs are the way to go. So let's move on to the final form of parkour, and the final form, but the final form of parkour, which in my opinion one of the best ones, is ladder parkour. So this is really cool because ladders kind of stick out from the block they're placed on by just the tiniest bit. You can see here it's like a few pixels out. And this means that you can actually do some pretty cool things with it. So, for instance, this first one here, it's all about trying to cling to the wall as closely as you can so you can stay on top of the ladder, because they are blocks, even though they're on top of the wall, which is pretty cool. And you can also use it for cool things like this. So I need to make it to that block, can't make it up there. But in fact, if you see, there is a ladder there. So if I try my hardest and I stay really close to the wall, I can actually make it, and then if there's a ladder hit, I'm all the way at the top. So yeah, you can use ladders to make really close parkour that's about getting that angle exactly right. I think it's pretty fun, and you know, it's not really too expected that much. So I think ladder parkour is one of the cool things to include. So if you include all these 5 things together, you can make some really fun parkour challenges that will actually challenge people, even if they know, you know, how to do parkour, and I think that's why they're so cool. So please do like the video if you did like it, share it if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I do top 5 videos every single week, and recently I've been a bit of a building kick, it seems, but you know, I'll probably be back to the other normal ones if you want to see those anyway. I do a whole range of top 5s, and I hope you'll find some of them interesting. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, liked I said all that stuff, so subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you all in the next video.